This stock is especially interesting right now. So first off, read this disclaimer carefully. Then do your good deed of today by liking and subscribing. So, Novavax, they were on a big move during the C19 vaccine. But the thing is that the companies in that space, they definitively collapsed. However, it begs the question whether they collapsed too much. So here is Novavax, infectious diseases, 31% from the 52-week low, but 71% away from the highs. So that is a pretty substantial fall. If you look here at the chart, this is long-term weekly data points. We can see that it's fallen down to a historically very interesting level. This stock also has a history, of having these major rallies and then just completely collapse, and then have this big rallies again. And it does this multiple times within, a secular bull market. So it's a bit of a mess, but now it is at a key support. We have support way back here as well. So it is consolidating. So I do think that this is a pretty interesting level. We are also seeing some tendencies of a rounding bottom as well. Looking here at the dailies, we do see this pretty clean consolidation. So when talking of like a stop loss level based on like the more intermediate time frame, we're talking about around a 10% stop loss. It's a bit wider, but you can buy the stock for like $7. So you don't need like a big position. And that is one of the ways to counteract a wide stop, is to basically put on a smaller position. Looking at RSI PPO, we are seeing some interesting behavior there. When a stock is emerging from like a very depressed level, you need to look at it a bit differently. And in this case, we do see that it emerged from support on RSI. So in this case, RSI going higher doesn't necessarily mean like overbought. To look for overbought levels, we would look on the dailies. Got a bull buy signal on the MACD. RSI is very like moot. There's nothing like to get spooked about with RSI or PPO. So in this case, the stock, it is pretty interesting. So we have horizontal support. That is like the primary thing we have. And when it comes to the technicals, I think I will give the bulls a 6. Overall, this is pretty good. Next, we will look at the seasonality. So the seasonality here to the left, it's interesting. It's a bit, a consolidation into December, and that is when we have a bit of a tendency to see the market spike. The thing is that when we look at the table view, October, recently it's been bullish, but you see that there's been a lot of red Octobers. November, however, is very interesting. So you do see that there is this usual strength, at least recently. December was very bearish as of late, but it had a period of strength. If you look here at December, usually we see strength in the beginning, but then it sort of fades away. So when it comes to the seasonality here for Novavax, I do think I will give this one a a bit of a modest score, but let's give the bulls a 3 on this one. Next off, we will look at the fundamentals. So in this case, let's remove that one. Okay. So I am comparing Novavax against itself. We do see that in terms of the price book ratio in blue, we are not like really low, but we are not high either. But it's more like on the higher end of the recent range. But looking back to March, then it's not that bad. Price to sales is very interesting. That is at a key support level. Price earnings, it's sort of a bit of a similar story to price book. When we go here and look at the forecasts, then we do see that the analysts overall they are in a neutral mode, but looking at the price targets, the average price target is 181% above us, which definitively is pretty bullish. So I do think that one could make a pretty strong case that this stock is certainly pretty undervalued. So I do think I will give the bulls a healthy 7 on this one. Next, we will look at relative performance. So we go here. So these are long-term correlations. We have 18% positive correlation with S&P 500, minus 32% with the XLV healthcare ETF, then 97% with the GERM, the infectious diseases ETF. Looking at daily data points, then we are at 43% with S&P 500, 55% with XLV, and 21% with the GERM. Now, looking short and long term, the strongest correlation we do get is with the GERM, which is not a big surprise. So here is a GERM. So this is the way to get like more diversified exposure to infectious diseases. They call it ETF MG Treatments, Testing and Advancements ETF. Okay, so this is obviously not in an uptrend. But that also could create a situation where you have a bunch of stocks that are artificially undervalued. So let's look a bit here at the seasonality. We don't really have much data. So let's now compare Novavax against GERM. Like that, and we get GERM. So against GERM, Novavax is forming a bit of a rounding bottom on RSI and also here on price itself. On the daily data points, yeah, we do have a pretty clean development here. Also, there is this consolidation range, so you could be looking at a potential breakout for Novavax. RSI is very neutral. We don't have much data when it comes to seasonality. Recently, October has been good, okay, and November it's been very mixed. But it's one of the better months for Novavax. So let's get back to the notes. So when it comes to this stock, I do think I will give the bulls, on relative performance, let me give them a 4. So overall, it's pretty good. So we end up with a 5 overall in favor of the bulls. The key thing about Novavax is that we are at horizontal support. Long term, this stock has a tendency to like go all over the place. We saw that it sometimes completely collapses, which it recently did, but then again it can go on these huge rallies. So I do think that buying the stock here with like maybe a 10% stop loss level, buying a smaller position to sort of to make the stop loss make more sense. I think there's a pretty good probability that you will be able to exit with a profit on this one. It's just very interesting. I do, however, think that a stop loss level makes sense unless you have like a very long term time horizon, like maybe multiple years. We do see that over like many years, then buying Novavax at these levels, it usually works out pretty well, but then you might have to be very patient as well in case Novavax is going to spend a lot of time consolidating. Another thing that of course can happen with the stock, that you are sitting there waiting for like a big move on, is that it could also be taken off the public market. That also is something that happens. So a lot of things can come between the long-term investor and a stock regaining its sort of true value in the market. But yeah, all in all, very interesting stuff for Novavax, and I do think that if you have like more like a medium time frame, then this one makes a lot of sense at these levels. So yeah, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more.